me tell y'all something. These niggas trying to sign me for $1,000. Man, I got $1,000. What y'all talking about? I got it. I'm voting them. Nigga, I come slide on y'all block with the Glock out. Hold 16 shots, boy. Hit 16 niggas at the same time. And he came with some hollow, boy. I already know. Nigga, anything I lemon sweet, boy. I'm finna throw a switch on anything, but anything gonna be dumping, boy, on me. I need that, boy. I got that. Thing gonna be dumping.
Okay. Do we have to have this conversation again? Yes. We have to have this conversation until we no longer have to have the conversation. We have to have the conversation until there is no longer a need for it because it's no longer happening. The fact that we have a little boy acting in that way on camera shows us that there is an infrastructure, an environment, there is a culture, as we like to say, that has let him down. There's a culture that has set him up for absolute failure. And today I'm going to step away from the blame game situation, because I oftentimes point to, historic context, LBJ, etc. And I know that it is almost impossible to separate history or the past from the present, especially in our brains that need some sort of, pattern and sequence to make sense of why we're doing what we're doing right now. But I want to focus in on where we are right here, where this is the product of the quote unquote culture. A culture that I was told to protect and to preserve because I was black. They said, because you're black, not only are you not allowed to criticize this culture, but you have to endorse it and promote it. So when I was listening to the Bee Gees, Hall & Oates, man, why are you listening to that white shit for? Aren't you black? When I was acting in a certain way, man, why are you doing that white shit? Aren't you black? And so in my own psyche, I believe that to be black was to be that. That's what I believe right there. I believe that what is to be black. Look, I'm so sick and tired of all this, but black culture is jazz music. Black culture is the blues. Black culture is Motown. Black culture. I'm talking about today, right now. Like Janet Jackson said, what have you done for me lately? Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Not in your relationship with your wife or your husband or your children, what happened 50 years ago, 40, 30, 20 years ago. How are we showing up today? That's what is affecting the current moment and will affect the next. We are currently in a place where this is an epidemic. They try to tell us that scamdemic was no, this is an epidemic. And because individuals like myself who may have questioned early on, silenced myself because I wanted to be on code, I'm not going to blame that on anybody else. I was afraid. I was a coward. I was afraid to talk when I saw this because this isn't my first time seeing this. It's not when I started, creating content and throwing myself into my purpose that I actually started to see this. No, I saw it way before. But I was afraid to say anything because I was afraid of what actually happened on November 4th, 2024, when I publicly came out, and it wasn't even in a real way. Like it was just a little comedy sort of video that I put on TikTok that I shared on my Instagram, and overnight, seemingly, I lost about 1,500 followers on my IG because I was making a very different sort of content. Because I was afraid. I was afraid to speak on things like personal accountability directly to the audience. So I'll just speak on it, euphorically, self-love, etc. I would speak on these things, not trying to get directly to the root to say, this is the issue And these are the people that are perpetuating the issue, not just most affected. You're not just affected because it's happening. You're affected because you're the carrier of it. You're carrying the virus that is the ghetto mentality. You're a carrier. You're harboring it. And you're passing it on. This boy right here, this little boy, did not become that by any other means than his environment. You know, some people want to argue that no, it's genetics. You know, he was just born that way. No child is born talking about smoking the homies, or, you know, smoking on Tuka, airing this out. No child. That comes direct. I can show you the artists who: King Von, Lil Durk, Chief Keef, who surprisingly is the only one who actually survived all of that. Lil Reese. These are the guys who have informed this young man, and his parents, or the lack thereof, are the ones who have allowed for this virus to be perpetuated. This generational curse, as we sometimes refer to it as. That is a curse that they put on that boy. He's doomed. He's already got a weapon. I don't know if it's real or not. I'm not going to show it in real life. But he has got a weapon on him. And, you know, somebody pulled out money out of their account. Unless he is really selling dope at that young age, he's done already. But he's got a wad full of, or a wad of cash in his hands, and a weapon in the other. Where did he get that? We're going to play a quick game of Jeopardy. Number one, did he get it from the womb? He was just born with that in his hands. Number two, did he get it from the white man? Because that's, you know, who they love to blame. So did he get it from the white man? Or number three, did he get it from his parents? Or the lack thereof? Because they're both one and the same. We're going to have this conversation until we don't have to have it anymore. Because there were times I felt bad because of the feedback I was getting early on. You know, you have to build a thicker skin. You build more calluses, right? Like working out, I got calluses all on my fingers or on my palm and whatever. That right there is a strengthening. So, you know, when people say, oh, you need to stop talking about this, why you keep talking about this, why you keep talking about this, you keep bashing black people, etc. I almost started to believe it. I say, wait a minute, that's not my intention though. That's not what I'm here to do. And then I say, wait a minute, no, these are the people being triggered because you're speaking to a truth. These are the people who feel some type of way because you're speaking to something that's right in front that nobody wants to actually talk about. So let's talk about it. And let's talk about it honestly. This little boy is a product of a culture that has been promoted by Black Americans, that has been promoted by, you know, Black non-Americans. Because now there's this war of the FBAs versus the tethers, and, you know, oh, the tethers are really the ones who are pushing it. No. Everybody needs to take their blame. Hispanic folks, y'all know that is going on within those communities as much as anybody else. But let's be honest. Disproportionately, who is the carrier of this virus? And it's spreading. You know, it's like the virus of single motherhood and the celebration of single motherhood. And I'm talking about baby motherhood. I'm not talking about you got married, you did your best, you try to raise your children in the context of a home. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the mentality of I don't need no man, I'm going to just have my baby. I'm talking about a mentality of I'm going to have children by multiple men indiscriminately. That's what I'm talking about. That has now become prevalent. It's catching on to every demographic. It's become normalized. And that's why when I speak on this, it's like, though, you know, again, oh, you're just picking on these people. No. If it's like if that virus is in a certain group of people and they're the largest carrier, first and foremost, you need to help to get as many of those people aware to be like, hey, we got to treat. And the ones who are not willing to be treated, then you got to separate. You got to separate so you don't catch it, and then make sure that nobody else catches it. So you separate completely from that. That's what's going on. It's a mental virus. As they talk about the woke mind virus, it's a mental virus that has taken over. And its basis is this victimhood mentality that allows for you to act as a child. You get away with everything without consequence, in essence. Why is this okay? Because when it's all said and done, they can just point back to the white man and say the white man is the reason. It was Reagan who did this. The war on drugs did this. But why was there a community who was susceptible to that way of living anyway? Well, LBJ did it. Why do we allow it to be given over to? I know that you don't want to talk about personal responsibility. Like you do, but you really don't. You want to talk about it when it comes to the other person. You want to talk about it when it comes to who needs to hear this message. Like when you go to church. Oh man, my cousin really needs this. Oh man, my husband, my wife really needs this message. No, you need the damn message. You need that message. I need that message. I have to continuously remind myself, your life is your damn fault. Your life is in your control. Your life is the result of what you do or do not do in this life. That's the outcome of what I call my life. It's the inputs or the lack thereof and what I get out on the other side. I chose to not do X, Y, and Z, so now I'm in a career I hate. Am I going to point the blame? I can, but I'm just giving over my power and not correcting the thing that is bringing me the most pain. Did I not choose the relationship I'm in? Am I not continuously choosing? Okay, maybe I'm doing it from a place of trauma. Fantastic. Let me deal with that. If I'm not willing to deal with it, then am I going to complain? Fantastic. Give away the power. But when you have an overall culture that cannot take accountability, you create this young boy right here. You create him. Again, this is a child. And sometimes it's hard to empathize because you're like, well, but look, I mean, he's going to be the little inglet who's about to run up on you and snatch your purse. So how can you feel empathy for that? But I can still sometimes separate and say that's a child and they're a product. That's a child and they're a product. But these are the sins of the father visiting the son, the sons of the mother visiting the daughter. If there is no corrective aspect in the household, that's the result that comes from it. And so some of these people, unfortunately, they can't be saved. I believe all the babies can, but I'm talking about the adults that are perpetuating this because they can't even see that this is wrong. They can't even acknowledge that it's wrong. To be playing the type of music that he gets that language from, they don't even discern that there's something amiss about that. What do you mean? This is our culture. You see? This is who we are. Right? Tying it full circle back to the moments when I was being told that's not black. That's not the culture. Where's your money? Where's your money spread at? Where's your money spread at? Where's your weapon that you're toting at? Where's your threats for another man who looks just like you at? Where's that at? You're in the same way as a young man. Where the O's at? You didn't sleep with her and her. You ain't no man. Where's your manhood at? It's so damn backwards. And I'm not a savior. I'm not a superhero. I'm none of these things. I'm just somebody who has been chosen to tell the damn truth. I believe we've all been chosen. That's why we're here. So I'm not some special nothing. I believe we're all special and we're all not at the same time, right? Like we're not a special snowflake, but we are all unique and we all have purpose that we are created with. Whether or not you follow along with that purpose, that's your decision. That's free will. I believe it creates great suffering in our lives when we don't step into our purpose. But yeah, I'm not going to be a bystander anymore. So, if the message was nothing less than when I see it, I'm calling it out. In the same way, if I'm on, a subway, a train, whatever it is, and I see somebody who's doing something that's disruptive, hey, excuse me. Can you please turn that? Like, there are other people in here. I'm that guy. I'm that guy. Is it foolish? Some would think so. But if I'm called to it, then I'm going to do something. You see a piece of litter on the ground and you feel some type of way, that's your job. OG told me that back in the day, right? Shout out my barber OG from back in the day. He knows who he is. He said, the thing that's calling to you is your problem. If 10 people walk by the trash, it wasn't their issue. It was your problem to solve because you're the one who feels the problem. We all have something like that in our lives. This just so happens to be mine. I see the problem and I will speak to it and I will not be afraid anymore. I will not be a coward and cower away from telling the truth, because maybe this boy ends up being the one who hears this message and he's like, damn, I was carrying on the sins of my father. What am I doing here? Instead of him losing his life at 17 years old, like so many of them will, at 16, 15 years old, like so many of them will. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Now, if you'd like to stay around, make sure to click that little subscribe button down there, or you can show some love by going to the description below and clicking on the button titled Buy Me a Coffee. Leave a little something there, or click on the Cash App. Leave a little something here. Till the next time, peace.
I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light again. I can see the light. You can see the life in him illuminate the night. I know the time is taking. A 365, that's a full rotation. I see you looking up. You know them constellations. Constantly gazing like house of praises. You get to praising.